So I'll start with, okay. I'll start with our grand opening, which happened on August 1st. So we finally came back together, and I know that so many of us just felt the love and the joy and the connection of being together. And I know that there's still so many who are not ready to come back into our sanctuary. And we totally understand that. And I know that everybody moves back into our sacred space when they are ready and feeling confident. But what I do know is that we have prepared a space that is so clean and so mindful of safety. And for any of you that haven't been back in the center yet, you'll certainly feel that when you arrive. The same love exists, just the same beautiful people that are there to greet and take care of us and support us on our Sunday service. And, safety is the first and foremost uh, concern and option for us as a spiritual community to make sure that we are in compliance and taking care of everyone. And I know that Larry Wyman will be sharing more on that about health and safety and our compliance activities. We meet every week and we are just very, very much informed on what we feel is in the best interest of our community. And for me, working with this dedicated board of directors, planning the future of Oakland Center is just so wonderful. This is such a great team of people who are consciously aware of what it takes to make our spiritual community the best it can be. So I'm really grateful for this board. Thank you, board members, and I've really enjoyed spending time with you at the board level. They work so hard and they work so fun too. It's just a great experience. And as I'd like to share that we've had some wonderful guest speakers along the way through Zoom. And now that we've opened up our sanctuary, we started off with Reverend Sally. Well, we started off with me actually, and then we had Reverend Sally join us. And of course, Reverend D. Jacqueline Edwards did just a dynamite job last Sunday. And this Sunday, Reverend Catherine Sachs is joining us. So we've had some really wonderful speakers, and we have more exciting collaborative work moving into the months to come for providing excellent Sunday service. Wednesday services have been so well attended, so soul nurturing. So if you haven't been on a Wednesday service, I totally encourage you to join in. I have been participating, and Wednesdays are like no other Wednesdays that we've ever had before. They're really rich and full, and the satsang style gives everybody an opportunity to participate. So it's really wonderful. Other great things that have been happening, we worked on coordinating and hiring an amazing youth and family ministry coordinator, Jackie Onapetti, and we've been meeting and talking and gearing up to get those classrooms open. Hopefully we'll have a soft opening in the classrooms. The middle of September is what our plan is, but we'll certainly keep you all informed. We're very, very excited at having Jackie join us, because she is just so much involved with the youth and appreciative, and just so anxious and so creative and so ready to get going. So this is going to be a great adventure for us. And, I've been meeting and collaborating with our practitioners, whom are considered the healing arm of our center. And so we have great things in store for ourselves as a ministry. And I'm really happy to be working with our practitioners. I love our practitioners. They're amazing beings. And so I'm so grateful for each and every one. And Constance and I continue to collaborate on the center's business and on our educational needs. And speaking of education, we are so thrilled. We are going to have year one of the Advanced Consciousness Studies course, and we have 8 students ready to participate. So we're just so thrilled to be able to launch this new year with an Advanced Consciousness Studies course. And we've got getting our facilitators and our teaching assistants lined up. So it's very exciting. And this course is in trimesters. So there will be 3 10-week courses the first year and 3 10-week courses the next year. And so we're getting all geared up for that. And there's just so many other things that are happening as we move forward in our center. I really feel the forward momentum, and everybody is participating and giving of their time and their talent in such an amazing way. A couple of other wonderful things. I know since this is our forum and we're speaking of how blessed we are that our 2 PPP loans were forgiven this year. So Dow Becker, our bookkeeper, she is on it. She is spot on it. She's so amazing. And I've really enjoyed getting to know her and working with her. So our first PPP loan was forgiven in April. Was given in April and forgiven in October for some $34,000. And then the second PPP loan was forgiven in July for $35,000. So, Dow was just right on it, taking care of our church business and our finances in such an amazing way. She's top notch. I'm really grateful for her as well. And then, of course, a week from tomorrow is our beloved Reverend Jeff's celebration of life. And everyone has been just stepping in and supporting this beautiful, beautiful opportunity to celebrate his life in such a great way. His sister, Roberta, and her husband will be joining us. And of course, Janine and her mother. And we have a great lineup. In fact, we've actually filled our spaces that we have available in a very, very safe way. And we'll be using our courtyard as well for anyone who doesn't care to be inside the sanctuary, although it's spacious and safe. So that's going to be next Saturday at 11 a.m.
Actually, so Jerry, 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's on Saturday, September 4th. Thank you for that, Robert. I am so grateful to have a little bit more time as I'm thinking about all the bits and pieces. And we have great coordinators in every area to provide a perfect experience. I know it's going to be amazing, but there's those loose ends, like the program and the photos. And so I'm still engaging in a lot of that. So thank you for that. I'm glad to have that extra week. And oh my God, there's just so many more exciting things to come at our center. And I'm just grateful to be supporting this village in the way that I am showing up and the way that I'm seeing so many others show up. So thank you all so much. We are so blessed, so blessed. So I think I'm complete for now.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Reverend Jerry.
You're welcome.
I'm going to be addressing the new minister search process. Before I describe how this works, I want to acknowledge that there's a whole range of feelings and perceptions about this process in our community. Some people wish we had hired a new minister yesterday. It's sort of I call it the "what's taking so long" school of thought. Others are still processing the loss of Reverend Jeff and are in no hurry to fill behind him. All of these reactions are legitimate. They're personal to you. One thing is we hope that the listening circles that Reverend Sonny did helped you to support you wherever you are in this process. We know that the search for a new minister can take quite a while, but what's important is that we do it with conscious intent. So we attract the right person for this time, aligning with divine order and right action rather than our own limited beliefs and fears. And that's what the minister search process and co-creation process are designed to do. You should know that we're getting terrific support from CSL Home Office. Some on the board have met with Reverend Julie Labato, who's a field rep, who will support us through the new minister search process. And we have met with Reverend Dr. Penny Masick about the co-creation process. So let me kind of walk through this step by step. So the first step, what's happening right now, is the selection of the search committee. The board is currently putting together an application for interested individuals to complete, and then there'll be a selection process. We already have a number of members who have expressed interest, which is very gratifying. The search committee is usually 6 to 8 people and is a broad representation of the community with board members, practitioners, laity. You must be loyal, active, and supporting members of the community to be considered. And we hope to have that application posted, maybe within a couple of weeks. Now, if you're thinking about doing this, please understand that it is a big commitment. You really have to be committed to putting in the time and the work. It's going to be like having a part-time job, maybe for the next 6 months or more. But also know that it will be richly rewarding. It will grow you, and it really supports the community in a critical way. Once the search committee is in place, then we do the co-creation process. We will be bringing in a minister who's trained in that process, and there's several different components. It starts with a 3.5-hour meeting on a Thursday night, and this is for the entire community, because all of us are going to be contributing to this creation of what happens next. Together, we explore our beliefs about ministers so we can release any limiting beliefs and fears that we have. And it's really not just about finding a new minister. It really is a spiritual evolution process for the community as a whole. The process continues after that Thursday night, on Friday night for 3 hours, and then 8 hours on Saturday with 12 of the top stakeholders. Now, what's a stakeholder? In this case, it's members of the search committee, some members from the board, and other people that are in high service, maybe people that are over ministries or things like that. The goal of that Friday and Saturday is to come up with a sacred covenant that distills the spiritual qualities we are looking for in our new minister. That process wraps up with the facilitator giving the Sunday address and sharing the sacred covenant with the community. Once that's done, then the work really begins for the search committee. They have to create their first deliverable, which is a center profile. Think of it as one of those glossy annual reports from a company. That's used as part of the minister position announcement. It's just an overview of the center showing the unique nature of the Oakland Center and containing all the factual information about the position. The job announcement is posted for a minimum of 60 days. As applications come in, the search committee reviews them. They eventually narrow them down to a few candidates who come to visit the center for interviews and a presentation to the congregation. Finally, all members in good standing vote on the candidate that they want. So there you have it, everything you want to know about the minister search, but we're afraid to ask. We want to stay open also. This is an important point. We want to stay open to various leadership models. So we know that some CSLs are moving to a collaborative model of 2 or more ministers who share the pulpit. We want to be open to whatever is going to be for our highest good to arise now for us. So I also want to just say that during this process, we are really blessed to have Reverend Jerry at the helm as we go through. And even though it takes time, we're in good hands. So I just want you to take that in too. So thanks so much. There will be, I'm sure that you have some questions about this process. There will be time for questions at the end. Just jot them down. But right now, I'm going to turn it over to Zoe the Magnificent for an update on membership.
Hi, folks. Good evening. Thank you so much for being here. So, we often say it takes a village. Well, a village takes people. And we need you as member. So membership in the Oakland Center implies an affiliation with the philosophy of science of mind and a commitment to becoming a steward of this community. its assets, and its future. So in October, we'll be holding another membership orientation class, and it's designed to give you sufficient information about what it means to become a member, what it takes, and understand that this is more than simply belonging to a group. It's actually becoming part of a family. So if you're not currently a member of the Oakland Center and you would like to know if this is the right thing for you, please join us in October. I'll be providing more details in the weeks to come with an exact date, and you can plan accordingly. Looking forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Zoe. Next, we're going to turn it over to Mr. Andy Robbins, I believe.
Mr. Andy Robbins, I believe. I like that name. Hi, everybody. I'm going to be sharing about the AV team, a little bit about music. I don't know how many of you saw it, but I sent something out 2 or 3 weeks ago about the AV team, and not much has changed since then, except that we've grown and evolved, and we're growing and evolving at quite a rate. So basically, the thing that happened in conjunction with the board and other people is we came to a recognition that the live stream process through whatever venue, its significance in a community like ours has changed and will continue to change exponentially. So the concept of the little church on the hill, you know, in the middle of a field, is a lovely thing, but the truth of the matter is that's not the age we live in, and we are reaching out to the world, basically. And so it's no longer a handful of people. It may be who knows what percentage of our official and unofficial congregation that shares in our community through that particular medium. In the short term, obviously, a lot of that has to do with those folks that were referred to earlier that are not comfortable being in proximity at this point in time. But remember, there are people who can't be in proximity or on location through no choice of their own. And beyond that, as I said, we're already starting to see some people that are coming consistently and taking their spiritual check-in and their spiritual value from and with us as a community. So toward that end, with the board's approval, we spent not an inordinate amount by any means of money to upgrade some of the equipment that was necessary in order to expand our outreach. All of that has been installed. Along with that equipment in terms of how we broadcast, we also invested in a second camera. The second camera enables us, without getting too detailed about it, to make a much more specific, intimate, and detailed presentation where the presence of what's going on in the room, you really can feel a part of it. In the past, it was kind of like, if you think about that old image of the kids in the street looking through a hole in the wall to try and watch the ball game. That's kind of the way it used to be. But we like to invite people, because they are invited, to be in the room, to be in the space with us. So we are also, along with these upgrades, and along with the software upgrades and all the little tangled wires and things that go with it, we're also inviting our incredible AV team to learn skills that most of them have never engaged in before. And one of the things that's really heartening for me for the last couple, 3 weeks is to walk around and see how engaged that process is for that team. These folks are learning skills, but they're also learning the art of what they're doing. They're learning the brushstrokes. They're learning to dance together. I'm admitting even as I'm talking here, pardon me. And so once again, from the breadth of my engagement with this community, I'm seeing another little sector, whatever its function is, that's really basically united and in their function and in their call. And in the end, for me, that's the essence of community. And I'm honored to know that we are one of a number of such enclaves of endeavor. In terms of the music, we kind of kicked off the month with some extra things and some new things that will continue even through the fifth Sunday of this month. And I've got to tell you, on behalf of not just our music community, but all musicians everywhere, Cozy's on the call, he'll tell you, we will not miss Zoom for music. Zoom and music do not go together. And so to be in that space, but to know too, and I've been checking what the product of what's being recorded, it is so much clearer, it is so much better. Our musician community, let me just put that to rest, sorry about that. Our musician community has been with us for quite some time, and they are integral to our community. I will mention Cozy in particular. He's here. We used to sing in the choir together. He goes way back. Kev, all of them. So it's quite an inspiring thing. And for those of you, by the way, who haven't come in person and feel comfortable doing so, let me see how to put this. What are you waiting for? It's a blast. We're having a great time. So the last thing is, as I mentioned in that correspondence, we're looking for everyone's feedback. We had a couple of tech issues. Some of you know that. We think we're pretty ironed out, but watch what you say. We think we're pretty comfortable, but not just in terms of what's wrong. We're open to feedback from the entire community. You know how this works. Just as Robert just represented, I will hear 5 opinions, all in opposite directions, but that's great because that's everybody taking ownership, and that's what a community at its best. So that's it for me. And I think we're moving on to Larry Wyman.
Indeed. Thanks, Andy. So I am the compliance officer, and so I'm going to talk about health and safety and let everybody know about the protocols that we have in place. If you haven't been there, you'll learn about them. If you have been there, you've seen them in action. The most important thing, of course, is masks at all times in any indoor situation. And the Alameda County Public Health Department recommends masks in crowded outdoor areas. So like a crowded courtyard, you might want to keep your mask on. It's recommended by the county. Masks must be tightly fitted. We don't want to see anybody with the mask over their mouth and not over their nose. Perhaps ushers and or compliance people might gently remind you to adjust your mask properly so that it's doing what it's supposed to do. We're, of course, doing a temperature check before you're entering, and we're asking you to sign in on the sign-in sheet for potential of contact tracing. So we'd appreciate it if you put your phone number down so that if we had to use that contact sheet, we'd be able to call right away and not spend a lot of time looking you up in the church records. Let's see, what else have I got? We have a traffic pattern in the sanctuary. You enter through the lobby, you check in, have your temperature checked, and then you feed into the sanctuary where Paul has done a yeoman's job of socially distancing the seats in the rows so that we have some social distance under control there. And then you exit through the side doors so that we have a flow. We don't want anybody backing up. Obviously, bathrooms would be the exception. Bathrooms are asking for only one person at a time in the bathrooms. There's sanitary wipes in the bathrooms, and the compliance members are keeping an eye on the bathrooms and disinfecting from time to time. Let's see, what else? We don't want anybody congregating in the sanctuary after the service. We want you to flow outside with the pattern and congregate in the courtyard. But we're not passing any offertory baskets. They're placed at the exits. So if you don't already donate electronically, you can certainly donate in the baskets on your way out. The meet and greet is visual. We're not having a regular meet and greet, so that's a good thing. There's plenty of hand sanitizers around. Let's see, I don't know, I've probably forgotten something. We feel like our ventilation is great with the high ceilings and all the doors open. Ventilation is a very important part of the safety protocol as recommended by everybody. Gee, I'm running out of notes. I wanted to address hugging, and I wanted to make sure that we all pay attention to people's personal preferences, and so do not hug someone unless you have a clear indication that they're willing to hug or wanting to hug. And people who don't want to hug, be very clear, because we don't want any ambush hugging going on. That being said, hugging is still an important part of our process. So if it's between two mutually consenting adults, it's okay. And that basically wraps me up. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. I think the phrase ambush hugging is going to stick in my mind for a while. So we have covered, I know I saw some people being admitted over the past half hour. Just very quickly, Jerry spoke about, gave a little ecclesiastical update. I spoke about the minister search process and the co-creation process. Zoe gave us an update on membership. Andy spoke to the media team and what's happening with that and music. And Larry just gave us a health and safety compliance update. So if you missed some of that, we are going to be posting this on, is it our YouTube page? We're going to be posting it anyway, wherever we post these things. And so you will have a chance to go back and take a look at it in more detail. However, we do want to open it up for you. This is your time. And if you have any questions, what we think might work best is that leave your camera off unless you want to ask a question. You can use that little reaction. Just raise your hand like that. There it is. Raise your hand like that, or wave or something. And Peter Gum is going to be trying to monitor that and letting people in. And if your question is directed to a specific person, let us know. If not, if it's a general question, we'll just field it as we can. So the floor is open. Now, I know this is not a shy group.
Larry, did you put your hand up? No? Larry Williams?
Deborah has her hand up.
Deborah.
This is Deborah. I am absolutely happy that we are having this meeting. But in addition to this, and I'm looking at and congratulations on all the things that we have done to stay in preparation. But I also want to know, has the board considered any new forward movement plans for our center in the areas of finances, in the areas of music, and in terms of expansion of singers? Have we taken a look also at the beauty of media and how effective in terms of expanding our media, not just Facebook or YouTube? There's also in terms of gathering young folks, they don't listen that much to Facebook anymore. So I'm just looking at, have we done anything in thinking through how do we want to expand going forward, whether we have a minister or not, because we still must go on regardless. And so we're looking at a process that's going to take us anywhere from 6 months to a year. And I would like to know, is there anything that we as the board has been thinking of in terms of how do we maintain our spiritual community going forward, and how do we grow it? Yeah.
Thank you, Deborah. Excellent question. Really excellent question.
There's a couple of them in there.
Yeah. So, I mean, some of what you talked about is being addressed, and some of it is something that is going to sort of be a part of the minister search process, you know, the co-creation process. A lot of that is about the expansion of our community, and it's about all of us contributing to that new form, that whatever it's going to take. But I really want to turn this question over to Jerry, because Jerry has ideas about expanding the center, and you heard Andy also talking a little bit about using our enhanced media capabilities to also, you know, reach out to people. But I'll turn it over to Jerry.
Okay, thank you, Robert. And thank you, Deborah, for such a great question. Robert used the term enhanced, and we have enhanced our media and our AV, and I'm going to allow Andy to speak to that a little bit more. But I think with that enhancement, there comes more opportunity for visibility out in the community, and for an opportunity to grow and expand even further. So there's a lot going on right now. Youth, media, there's lots of ways for us to spread out into an up-leveled way of being more visible, whether it be, you know, with Instagram or any of these other modalities of visibility and opportunity for us. So we're working on it. We're working on it. Andy, did you want to share anything about the music, because that's a big part of our.
Well, the music. Oh, I like this image. The music is. There is one complication with the music, and that is that traditionally, no, that doesn't mean we're bound by tradition, but traditionally, when a new senior minister, or the possibility of co-ministers or whatever, comes in, the person who's dealing with the music that's up to the new senior minister. They may stay with that person, they may want somebody else, they may have their own person, etc., etc. But basically, the music director serves at the behest of the senior minister. Now, the point that was made by Deborah, which is a very good point, is, well, what about in the meantime? And that's why I said what I said, and I quite sincerely meant it. Deborah, because you said so many interesting things, but there's such disparate elements. I don't know how the board comes into play, because usually that's an ecclesiastic thing. I worked with Jeff on it. I worked before that with Reverend Catherine, etc. However, that said, Reverend Jerry is in that position in the meantime. But I think the most important piece is I'm quite sincere when I say I'm looking for feedback. The problem with saying that is that sometimes somebody has a great idea, it doesn't work, or more importantly, and I remind everybody of this, we are all bound by a budget. I know that I've gotten enough feedback for enough years now to know that whenever I have the opportunity to have a big band up there with a number of singers, everyone goes, why don't we do that all the time? Well, I can tell you why. Because of money. However, sometimes it's not about the number of people. Sometimes it's about just having a great idea, etc. So please, give me your feedback. Give me your input. That's what we can do in the meantime. We are somewhat bound with the system we've been using, which is to have regular people. on a consistent basis. However, there are some new leeways, and if we get some great suggestions, let's see what we can do with them. I'll certainly engage with anybody who gives me feedback about the music. As to the media, we actually are not broadcasting on Facebook. We're broadcasting live stream and on YouTube. But again, if there's something we're missing out on, please let us know. We will respond, and we will look into it.
And
thank you, Andy. Oh, excuse me, Robert. I just wanted to say, oh yes, thank you. I just wanted to say that we're very, very excited about the direction we're heading with our youth and family program as well. And Deborah, those are all such important questions. And I know that we're going to have more forums along the way so that we could show how we're moving forward, and so that we can listen to good recommendations and ideas. So thank you for bringing that to the table tonight.
And just, if I can just kind of piggyback on that with one thing, which is while we are looking forward and looking at growth and moving in new directions, there's also a certain aspect of sometimes you just have to put your socks on before your shoes, because we have had a lot to deal with between the pandemic and with the passing of Reverend Jeff. So the past couple of months, we've kind of been focused on, that grief process. We've been focused on the upcoming memorial for Reverend Jeff, as well as the reopening of our sanctuary. So that's been a lot of our main focus. And it's not that the other things aren't happening. It's just that, like I said, sometimes the socks first, then the shoes. One of the things, just so you know, that the board has talked about, which is not to make any really massive policy changes until we have, we know what we're going to have in terms of a new minister, because whoever that person is or those people are going to have their own ideas about what they want to do in the center. So rather than put anything in stone right now, we want to stay fluid and see what arises.
So, Robert, we had Benny Bridges.
Benny, right. Benny was next. He put his hand down, but you still want to talk, Benny?
Yes, and it's, can you hear me?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, I had a question for Larry. He was talking about, he mentioned hugging. And one of the things, are we still having the greeters that as you come in the door? Because I haven't been.
Not at this time.
Okay, that's what I wanted, because right now I'm a little leery about coming inside yet. So I wanted to be sure that I had the option of not being hugged if I didn't want to be hugged.
Can I explain to Benny what the process is when you come in? Since I am the person that, Benny, this is Dorothy Mendez. And I want you to know that when you come into the sanctuary, I will ask you to mask yourself. I will ask you to sign in your name and your contact number. There will also be a sanitizer there for you, and there will be no hugs, no greeting, nothing. But I will ask you to continually wear your mask, and I also will take your temperature. So you will feel very safe when you come into our sanctuary. And if you have any questions at all, I will be there to answer them for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dorothy's been doing a great job leading that.
Yes. Amy is next.
Okay. I had to write it down because I didn't forget. So Robert, if you could elaborate a little bit. I heard Reverend Savannah talk about in Seattle, they have that collaborative ministry. And I'm not quite certain how that is different than a senior and assistant ministers. And also, is a collaborative ministry, how that affects the budget in terms of being different. And also, maybe I missed it when you were talking about how that decision will come about, whether we're going to go that direction or stay with just a senior minister. I know this is a multi-part question. And also, maybe I missed it. How many people are involved in coming up with that? What did you call it? The criteria?
The sacred covenant.
Yes. Yes. So
Okay.
I know there was a lot there.
I got it all.
Okay.
So you know, the more traditional model is to have a senior minister, and then there are staff ministers. Some CSLs call them assistant ministers. You know, that participate, you know, in various ways or take, you know, different functions. A collaborative ministry is, it's more, there's more of an equality. You might have like two lead ministers that are both working half-time to fill that full-time position. One of the things that was interesting that Reverend Sunny was talking about when she was spending time with us was the burnout factor for a lot of senior ministers, that the amount of time and energy it takes is very draining. And so you see like, you know, an average of maybe 5 years before somebody leaves. And so the collaborative ministry is a way, what Reverend Sunny was saying was that more people are being attracted to a collaborative ministry because it's not as overwhelming. So as far as the way it affects the budget is, we would likely in that kind of a situation be splitting the compensation between two people. So it would be more like two half-time positions rather than one full-time position. And the board is still in the process of sort of crunching the numbers, you know, and seeing what that looks like, and you know, how we can move forward with it. As far as how that decision gets made, it's a process. So it's not like we're just going to say, let's take a vote. We want to see how that co-creation process unfolds. So that co-creation process involving the whole community for the first night, and then it's up to 12 stakeholders that do the Friday and Saturday process, and they're the ones that are most involved in the search process and in the leadership of the center. So once we start the advertising and seeing what people in, and this is something we're going to get support with from Reverend Julie Labato, who's the field rep who will support us through this. We're scheduling a meeting with her in the next week or two, where one of the questions I have for her is, how do we present the application, the job announcement, so that it is open to both, you know, a single senior minister as well as a collaborative ministry. And then we have to see what happens. You know, I mean, if we get a great person who wants, you know, to be the sole senior minister, and we all love that, then great. If we get a couple of people that say, hey, I'm interested in a collaborative ministry, and that looks good, then great. But keep in mind that it is the membership of the community that will make the final vote.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Thanks for addressing that, because I wasn't sure how you advertise. You don't know if you want to have two or one. And so you might be missing out on a good candidate. That's a tough kind of like chicken and egg thing, right?
Yes. Good question. And that's right. We want to stay open to the whatever, you know, possibilities are there. So we're going to look at a way of making that clear in the application, that both of those possibilities are there.
Thank you.
Cheryl Archer?
Yeah, hi there. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so my question kind of dovetails into Deborah's question, but also dovetails into how do we expand youth and family. So I'm wondering if there is a profile of new congregants, family constituents that we want to attract, and if we've done any studies with regard to how to reach them, whether it's live stream, whether it's, do we have an Instagram page? Do we explore other social media outlets? I just want to know if we are plugging into our youth and our expansion, if we're talking about reaching other audiences and growing our center. I want to know, how are we going about that, and are we doing any of that?
Reverend Jerry, would you like to address that?
Well, I do have a thought about that, Cheryl. We are in the creation process, of course. One thing that we are doing is we're reaching out to other spiritual communities in our immediate Bay Area to join in with youth and family. And in fact, Jackie Onapetti has a special event coming up that's been on the slide. It'll be for the teens and gathering the youth from East Bay and from other centers. And so there's some real consideration on how we're moving forward with bringing the youth together. It's in the creation stage right now, but I know that it's really on the top of the list. So anyone who has ideas, if you'd like to get involved in visioning for this with us, please join us. Jackie's already started to vision with two or three congregants who are open to supporting and facilitating Sunday youth and family program. Our Centers for Spiritual Living has written new curriculum. So there's a lot of good stuff coming down related to youth and family. And I know that doesn't totally answer your question, but I do know that Jackie's very efficient with Instagram and other modalities as well. So we're going to explore all of that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Constance, you're up.
Thanks. This is a question about the stakeholders and the co-creation process. Can you hear me okay?
I'm having a little trouble hearing you.
Oh.
Closer to the mic.
Hold on, give me a second. I'll put my headphones on. I'll start. If you said, is there any leeway in the number of people who are going to take part in that? Almost there with the headphones. Okay, so.
Is that better, Robert?
Much.
Okay, thanks. Is there, because I know from where I sit in the center, we've got a lot more than 12 stakeholders. We've got a very active community. 12 could be taken up by the board and the search committee, and no one else can take part. And I just know in our community that wouldn't go over very well. So I'm just wondering how much leeway, because I remember the last time there was a lot more than 12 who took part in that process. And we got a good process. So
yeah, thank you for the question. So we last Sunday, I think, when we had our board meeting, we met with Reverend Dr. Penny Masek, who is in charge of all of the ministers who perform this co-creation process. So she's kind of the lead. And then there's, I think, 7 certified ministers across the country that do this process. So she said that, I mean, so keep in mind that the Thursday night is for everybody's participation. And she said then it narrows down to 12. And she was pretty adamant that if it's more than 12, the process doesn't work as well. Now, you know, I didn't participate the last time they did this, but apparently they have kind of refined the process over the past few years. So the way she described it is because it's a pretty intense process that if you have too many people, it gets too diluted. So she was recommending 12 as a number. Whether that's, I mean, they're not going to stop us from having more, but we also want to work with, the people who know the process and what works best. So, we'll see how that unfolds. We could certainly consider more if it looks like that makes sense.
Okay, thanks.
Andy.
And
well, along the lines of what Constance was talking about, if the population is 12, and I'm not saying I have an opinion about this, but is it innate that everyone on the board or everyone on the committee or whatever have to be present in this team? I'm not asking you to even answer that question. I'm just offering it as something to consider, that there could be representatives from different sectors and not necessarily all of any one group.
Andy, that's actually the intention. As far as I understand it, the way Dr. Penny explained it, it's not necessarily in that group of 12 that the entire board will be present.
Okay.
It's supposed to be, representative, a cross section of the community.
Good. Thank you.
Deborah?
Thank you. Again, I am listening to the conversation, and I'm saying to myself, have any of us thought of, or has the board thought of, putting out a questionnaire or a survey to ask all the congregants what do they want for this community going forward? Because I'm looking at this beautiful evening that we have all put up, and there's 45 participants here, but our community is actually 3 times larger than that. And so my question is, how do we get representation for all of us to move forward? I don't expect 100%, but I definitely do not want just us. And then after the fallout, everybody's complaining. So that's one of my questions. Or we're starting rumors all over the place. That's one of my questions. And then the other one that we were talking about is that, and I forget who brought it up, or I'm not sure if it was you, but we were talking about money. Is there a financial report that we will be having tonight? And how are we standing in finances, being that we have gone through COVID? It is beautiful to absolutely have monies like the PPE, but after that, will we be in a struggle, or will we be fine, or what? I mean, is there something else that we can take a look at? Questions?
So let's see. So you had 2 parts. The first was about participation. I like the idea of a survey to see what's on people's minds. That's certainly something that we can look at doing, in the coming months. And the co-creation process, I think, will also be an opportunity for people to participate and share, what their concerns are, what they're looking for, that sort of thing. As far as the money is concerned, so it's been an interesting, year and a half. The PPP loans were really just a blessing in the midst of the pandemic, because with less attendance, we did have less money coming in. So this really made a difference to get an extra $70,000. But as you say, it's like that's a kind of a one-time, or in this case, 2-time deal. But I mean, our finances are solid. We are planning on sitting down and crunching the numbers a little bit more to see what our flow has been like, and that's part of what we need to do to come up with a reasonable compensation for the new minister. And Debbie Morris, you're on the call. Do you want to, Debbie is our treasurer. Let me just say, Deborah, that it wasn't our intention tonight to really give an overview of the finances, just because there were some other things that we wanted to focus on, especially like the minister search process and just, other things going forward. So we will be having another open forum in a couple of months, and we'll focus more on that. But I just want to give Debbie Morris a chance if she wants to offer any words about the financial situation.
Yep.
There she is.
I'm here. Wasn't really prepared to speak about finances this evening, but even though we've had a drop in donations during the pandemic time, we have also been able to cut our expenses at the same time. So we've actually been running a little bit in the negative each month. We have had a couple of months that we ended the month in small positive, but going forward, and because we had the PPP loans to help us out, we're solid. And what we're really hoping is that with the sanctuary being back open and people being able to contribute that way, as well as online, that we will be able to just keep going smoothly as we have been.
Thank you, Debbie. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Didn't mean to put you on the spot there.
No problem. I'm here.
And we're also, I know that Reverend Jerry has big plans for I'm forgetting the term.
The Conscious Giving Pledge Program that's coming up.
Thank you.
Starting in October. So we'll be talking more about finances and just generating enthusiasm over the givingness and the law of circulation and everything that we know that truly works. As we give, we receive. And so we will be moving into that process. But I'm feeling like now that the sanctuary is open and people are actively participating, that we'll see a shift in that bottom line. The givingness for the month actually looked pretty good to me just recently when I saw a report. So under, given all the circumstances, so we're moving upward.
And we've had people step up and donate more, just in recognition of the fact that we haven't been open and there's there have been more restrictions on us. So like Debbie said, even though we've it's gone down in some areas, it's gone up in others, and then obviously we've had our expenses have been much lower as well.
Dorothy?
Hi, my question did have to do with finances, and one of the things I was wondering, because we can live stream and push buttons, I was just wondering if our congregation has stepped up to the plate and donating on a regular basis like they would if we were in the sanctuary. But it's kind of hard to tell. I understand that. The other thing I was concerned about was, have we in any way reached out to Reverend Tony and Reverend Sally as in the process of whatever their journey is, if they were willing to come back to our community and serve in the capacity that they did before they left?
So I can speak. I'd love to speak to Reverend to that question, Dorothy. As we know, Reverend Sally's on a great adventure, on a journey. She's creating her own ministry. We've invited her to speak, and I'm sure there'll be other opportunities for that. I think that I'd love to honor the journey that she's on and still absolutely keep her connected to our community. Reverend Tony is relocating to Palm Springs, and he's very, very excited about this move that he's making. So he's settling, he's rented his place, his apartment. In fact, I think he's probably, what's today, the 20th? By the end of the month, he will be completely moved. And so I've met with him, I've talked to him, I've had dinner with him. He is on a wonderful journey. I think, you know, there's new beginnings all around. So
thank you. Thank you.
I'd love for him to come and speak as a guest speaker, but I do know that he's beginning his life anew, and he's in a really good place. I'm very excited about what's taking place.
Thank you, Reverend Jerry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Reverend Jerry, can you hear me?
Hi, Lewis. Yes. Hi.
Would you send my love to Reverend Tony and wish him well for me?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I do miss him and Reverend Sally. I don't have any questions tonight. This is a process that, you know, people speak and say that mine and the board, and everybody else talks about what they want to talk about, and then I have to mull it over and play with it in my head before I have questions. So that's about it. Thank you.
Don't forget that we're easily accessible via email, or if any other questions come up or there's a need for further discussion on any of these topics, just reach out to any of the board. Or yes.
Thank you very much.
Did you have something to add, Deborah?
As people begin to speak, I always come up with another question that I hadn't thought about. But given the information, that had just been given about Reverend Tony as well as Reverend Sally, I was looking at, and I am extremely happy for them on their own journey, but I am also looking at our journey in terms of OCSL, in terms of diversity and color. And so I am looking at, have we also put that on the agenda in terms of expansion? So I just thought I'd put it out there so people will absolutely begin to speak to that, because I've heard a lot of conversation when I'm at church in terms of side conversations. And I think I might as well just open instead of us being silent, open the topic and just begin to think about those particular things of which we're asking. That's another reason why I asked for a survey. Yeah, I'm complete.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Deborah. You know, I want to just put a little tidbit in here that this is what the beauty of co-leadership or collaborative ministry allows, is the diversity of you know, having the support and the diversity of the work with our community. So that is one of the gifts, I believe, in co-ministry or co-leadership, collaborative ministry. So that leaves that option very available.
I do want to mention, keep in mind that Reverend Francione is still a part of our community. She's, you know, filling in at East Bay, but she's still very much a part of the community. And Deborah, believe me, the leadership, the board, lots of people at OCSL have been talking about diversity and the importance of it and ways that we can support it. So it is very much on the front burner.
Helen? Hi. You're muted, Helen.
Muted.
Yeah. Okay. Responding to your bringing up the topic of diversity. one of the things that really struck me when there was talk about co-ministers, I think it would be fabulous if we could have an African-American and maybe a Caucasian, or have two co-ministers of different racial backgrounds. I think that would be a really a great advantage given where we are and where we want to go.
Thank you for that comment, Helen. I think that many people probably share that point of view. Thank you.
Robert, since you mentioned Reverend Francione, I believe that her term at East Bay ends at the end of the year. So we're very opening our arms to welcoming her back after she's complete with her interim ministry there.
Thank you. All right. I don't see any other hands.
I'm going to put mine up. I hope for our community that we do become more diverse. I know Reverend Jeff did not come from a diverse community, and it was very obvious that there were some difficulties in African-American women that he dealt with. But I am hoping that we grow through this process of what's taking place for all of us with the COVID and everything. If we really truly believe that we are one, then we need to show up and act as one. And I am willing, and I open myself to this community to do whatever it takes to let you know that I am here for the betterment of this community, that we grow in leaps and bounds, and that we look at each other as one and not as he, her, they, whomever. Let us really step up to the plate. If we believe in what Ernest Holmes says and what God says, that we are one. And like Reverend Jeff used to say, I am the space where God shows up. So let us think about that. Think about where we want to be as individuals in this community. And I'm sorry, but Deborah brought that out to me. I'll blame her, okay?
Oh, Dorothy, please do not apologize. That was like an excellent, excellent sermon. Amen.
Amen.
And so it is.
Anthony, did you have a comment? Anthony?
Yes, I do. Just to address the diversity issue, and Reverend Jeff, being on the board earlier this year when we were looking for new people to come on, we definitely looked at, I'm echoing Robert's sentiment that the leadership seriously takes into consideration diversity. So he was very grateful that I'm on the board. I'm Mexican-American, and go, thank God. And he got even happier when Sanford said yes. He was very happy about that. And we were looking, we were asking, we were proactive. Jeff was saying, we got to get some diversity on this board.
No.
So, I'm not sure where the information or how the information was, but I can tell you, I was there when those statements were made. And when like I said, he was happy when Sanford decided to come back, and he was grateful that I was on the board. So I just wanted to share that. And I'm complete. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless Sanford. I pushed him.
Amen.
So I just want to say that I really appreciate this conversation. You know, we've been isolated from each other during the pandemic, although we've been able to reach out on Zoom, which has been a wonderful tool. It's so wonderful that we're able to see each other in person more and more as we go along. But what's so valuable about these kind of conversations is that, you know, it allows us to share what's on our minds, what's on our hearts, and also to get good information back, because we all know what human beings do. They make stuff up. And so if you don't get the information you need, then you start to fill in the blanks. And sometimes that's accurate, and sometimes those filling in the blanks is not accurate. It's more like a game of Mad Libs. So it's really great to have the opportunity to do this. We want to do it more so that we can have that communication going, and so that you don't have to fill in the blanks. You can actually get, you know, the facts, as well as express your perceptions and feelings. That's just as valuable. So thank you for all of your participation tonight. Cozy's got his hand up.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm thinking about the board that was just being talked about, and I'm wondering, what is the criteria or the qualifications for a board member, and would someone like myself, well, not like myself, but myself, be taken into consideration, that sort of thing?
I don't have them at the tip of my tongue, but there's some basic criteria in terms of, you know, being active, loyal, and supporting, being a member for, I think it's a minimum of a year, and I'm looking at Larry. Larry's saying 3 years as a minimum. Larry, I'm going to turn it over to you because you probably have the specifics better than I do.
Well, I don't know about that, but it would certainly, there's an educational component. You'll have to take at least foundations, I believe, and, you know, be a, you know, certified member and have been a member for 3 years and be in high service.
Thank you for answering that question.
And each year because we have about a third of the board roll off each year. So each year we put out that application, and the application does specify, you know, what those criteria are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Are we having a new members class coming up?
Yes. Oh.
Oh, good. Good.
Yes, we are in October.
Okay. Thank you, Zoe.
And we're grateful that even in the midst of a pandemic, we had 7 new members join. So wow. that was a really a blessing as well. Yeah. Anything else? We're gonna wrap it up. Well, again, I thank you so much for attending, for your participation. It will be on our YouTube channel if you missed some of the beginning explanations and want more information. And we're going to continue to be reaching out to you with more information. And we want to keep the lines of communication open. So thank you all very, very much. Reverend Jerry, would you like to pray us out?
Well, I see that Deborah has her hand up. So
Deborah!
We acknowledge Deborah.
Well, since nobody else has
got her hand up.
And this is our time to ask all of our questions. We're gonna be back here in three months. I thought I'd go ahead. But this one is a compliment to whoever landed with oh my gosh, Harpist from the Hood. This Sunday she was absolutely
Destiny.
And that's what I'm talking about in terms of diversity and
Destiny
of her music. And
yes.
So I just wanted to say I was ecstatic to see something such caliber join our forces with us.
Thank you, Andy and Kev. That was awesome.
It sure was.
Yep. Yep. Thank
was
you,
a-
Andy, for your participation in all of this. We appreciate it, Andy. If they don't tell you, I'm telling you right now, that what you bring to our community after our beloved Lynn Carr Sykes and you took over, it's been awesome, and we thank you.
Well, I thank you for that. And by the way, just for the record, Lynn tried to get me to do that 5 times. I said no every time, and then look what she did.
Hello?
She made me do it.
She made you do it, Andy.
There
You're
you
doing
go.
a fabulous job, and
Well,
we thank you.
Thank you very much.
We thank you, darling.
That's how powerful affirmative prayer is and affirmative thinking. So Lynn was thinking, and this is what was manifested. And yes, it was quite a treat to have Destiny. She'd been on my mind, and I was so thrilled to see her. It's such a beautiful, beautiful opportunity for us to be blessed by her music. And Kev, yeah, it was great. So do we have any other questions? Because if not, I would love for Dorothy. I could go for a Dorothy Mendez prayer right now. What about the rest of you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Unmute, Dorothy. We want to hear you.
Amen.
Dorothy, you're muted.
Dorothy, unmute.
Dorothy, you're muted. She's in that magical space.
She's.
Let's see if we can get the prayer without the audio.
Let's see.
Let's just take the prayer.
Yes. Just breathe into it.
Dorothy muted.
Yes, we're just taking it in.
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. I was unmuted.
And Dorothy, and so
And so it is.
And so it is.
So it is.
So it is. So it is. Amen. Thank you, Dorothy.
You're muted again, Dorothy.
So it is.
You're muted again. Let us hear your laughter. Come on. Unmute, Dorothy.
When you
There
said
you go.
prayer, I just got into it and I forgot all about y'all.
We took it all in. We took it all in. We took it all in.
Absolutely.
you did, and that was the best silent prayer.
It was amazing.
We felt the vibes.
Your lips moving.
I just want you all to know that God is your source and your sufficiency in all things. And as we go forward, we go grounded in God's love and God's light. And I thank you all. I thank the board. I thank Reverend Jerry for bringing us all together and knowing that right where we are, we hold the space where God shows up. So I say thank you. I'm just praying. I'm just praying to myself. And I thank you all. I love you, it's all good, okay?
It's all good.
So it is.
So it is.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Love you all.
Oh, awesome.
Okay, let me get us out of here. We gotta leave.